This conference will now be recorded.
So in our yesterday's class, we're understanding importance of framework application. Okay, maybe if you're joining one company like CTS, initially you will be assigned with some client, maybe city client also. Okay, so you are supposed to develop all the projects what your city client is handovering. So maybe Citibank can have a design like this. Maybe this is the organization, and we understood, or it might be having maybe 4 or 5 internal applications. Okay, so we understood PEGA will be developed only for internal applications, right? So for Citibank, there can be one application related to credit card, and there can be one application related to loans, and there can be one application maybe for accounts management, and there can be one application maybe like fourth, fifth, likewise. So as a developer, maybe you are supposed to work on this first one. What you will do? So your business analyst, they have to give you one mock-up. Okay, and you will be designing that screen as it is, maybe like first name, last name, all the things. Maybe after this work is done, maybe if your manager is asking you to do similar work for application 2, so here also you'll try to implement the same. Okay, and maybe after this is done, if your manager is asking you to work on third application, so you'll try to do the same here. Maybe for fourth application you'll try to do the same here. So once all these are done, you will come to know that you have done some repeated work. Okay, whatever the screen number 1 design you did here, same thing you are doing here, same thing you are doing, and same thing you are doing here. Some kind of repeated work is what we are doing. Instead of we doing this repeated work, if we can maintain everything in one common library, then we understood we can use it into every our application, right? So this is what we understood yesterday. So this library technically what we have to call? Tell me what we have to call this library technically? Remember? Framework. So this is to be technically called as framework. And maybe this is our credit card application, this has our loans, maybe this has our accounts. So as part of designing any such application, if you feel anything like reusable, maintain it in the above framework so that it can be used into first one, maybe second one, third one, maybe in future, if you are supposed to create one more application, you can get the content from there also here. Okay, so these all are called implementation applications, and this is to be called as framework application. Okay, so framework application is something where we'll include all the reusable components, and implementation application is something where we'll be maintaining its own specific components. This is what we discussed till yesterday. Okay, fine. Maybe as a PEGA developer, after you joining one company, so your manager is giving you maybe like one mockup where it is showing like first name, last name, maybe credit card type. So if you find these kind of things, so our expectation here is like first name will be reusable. We'll create somewhere at the top. Last name also will be reusable. We'll create same thing at the top. And credit card type, if you create somewhere here, and if you're trying to use all these three for our design into this application one, it will properly work, no doubt in it. Okay, it will 100% work. And maybe for application 2, I'll get requirement to use first name and last name, but we don't find anything like credit card used into the second one, right? Maybe in this third application we generally use like first name and last name, we will not use credit card type anymore. So you have done one mistake, that is like this first name and last name generally will be used in every application, so creating it in the framework is okay. Maybe if you are trying to create non-reusable thing also in framework, so we don't use this credit card type in every other application except this one. If we are creating such also in the framework, and if you are using from there to here, this will properly work, no doubt in it. But Since you are not using it in other places, this is not the best practice, right? This is not the best practice. So as I told you, PEGA will be having one powerful algorithm to check whether a developer is following best standards or not. So if a developer is developing everything perfectly, all the reusable things creating here, maybe non-reusable things creating at this individual applications. If this design is okay, no problem at all. If design is something different, okay, even if you are getting output, so there will be something like one powerful algorithm. So this algorithm will be calculating kind of compliance score. Okay, so we understood that there will be something called compliance score. So compliance score, it should be generally 100 percentage. So if you are not following best standards, so score for this one might be like 90 percentage only, and score for this application might be like 80 percentage only, and for this one maybe like 60 percentage only. If score is something less, we can understand that respect to application is not designed properly. So that respect to application is not designed properly. This is what we're understanding. So if an application is not designed properly, even though if we are getting output, so our managers will not accept. Okay, our managers will not accept because some kind of performance issues is what we'll get. Suppose if I'm creating first name, last name, all the things in this application. Again, here also if you are creating everything and using it here. Here also if you are creating and using it here. Even though if you'll get same output, but performance issues is what we'll face. Instead, if we create everything here and use it, that will be the best practice. So every application, apart from its output, performance is also very, very important. Okay, performance is also very important. So if performance is not good, then business related activities also will be very slow. Consider Consider I'm a bank employee. Maybe this is like SBI bank. Okay. So I'm a bank employee dealing with loans application. If 5 customers are coming to me in a queue, what I have to do? For the first customer, I have to register. And for the second customer, I have to register. Maybe third customer, fourth customer, I have to register everything. So if I'm trying to register one customer, if my system is very slow, if you are not following best practices, application loading time will be very slow. It will keep on showing us like loading. So if it is taking long time, performance is not good. So we might register only like 20 members per day. Okay, if this whole application is designed in such a way to register just like 20 members per day, just imagine how huge the loss will be. Okay, so similar application maybe if it is designed with other technology, if we can register 100 customers per day, maybe here if it is like registering only 20 customers per day, so no customer or no client will use PEGA for their design, right? No client will be using PEGA for their design, saying like system is very slow. And in that scenario, it will be huge loss for PEGA systems team. So today's city client, he wanted to design four types of applications. For that, he is choosing PEGA as the software option. Okay, so here he has to spend lot of money just for the PEGA license. After that, he has to he has to hire one development team for the same, and here one development team, whatever it is. So here, if developer is not designing that application, and once development, testing, and everything is done in the production, if server is very slow, if application is very slow, client will not be happy with this kind of performance. In that scenario, he will reaching PEGA system team asking for license cancellation. So if it is like license cancelled, it will be problem for the PEGA systems team. This development team will not have any problem because they will be paid everything on hourly basis or on daily basis. So overall, this client or this PEGA team will be having a huge loss. So PEGA team will not accept this, right? PEGA team will not accept. So that is the reason, as a developer, once you join in any company, your development related things, everything will be monitored by this PEGA systems team. Okay, so consider you joined one company here. So maybe there are like 4 developers, and there will be one manager for you, right? Okay, there will be one manager, and maybe we all are from CTS company. We are not part of city, we are not part of PEGA, we are part of CTS, and just like a contractor for these two things. Okay, now after you joining here, what will be your general day-to-day activities? After you joining one company today, what will be your generally day-to-day activities? So your manager will give you one task, you'll complete it, that's it. Maybe next day one more task, you'll complete it, next day likewise. So our routine process is to get the tasks daily and complete it on daily basis. This is our daily activity. Okay, in that process, if you are not following best standards, okay, if you are not following best standards, so as I told you, score will be impacted, overall application score will be impacted. If score is impacted, your manager should take care of that. So your manager, he will call every person personally, and he will talk, he'll ask like, what is the task given for you? So why did you create in this way, or why did you not create in this way? Some kind of review will happen. Okay, maybe in this design, if you are creating first name here, maybe if you are again creating first name in the second application, again if you are creating first name here, so your manager, he can say like, why are you creating everything first name again and again? Instead, we are having one library or framework, please maintain first name there and use it likewise. So if he's suggesting in this case, then compliance score or performance will be improved. Suppose if compliance score is not equal to 100 percentage, then your manager should be answerable for multiple questions. Okay, so we might not understand what is the best practice we are following today. Okay, in that scenario, as I told you, one dedicated person from PEGA systems team. So after you joining one company, so daily you will be having different meetings. So maybe like business analyst meeting, or maybe like requirement gathering meeting, or maybe like scrum meeting, okay, retrofit meeting. So you'll be having multiple meetings. So in every meeting, as a developer, you have to join, your manager will join, maybe testing person will join, maybe one person from UAT if required, he will join, and one person from client, and even a person from PEGA systems team will join. Okay, finally what I mean to say here is, one dedicated person from PEGA systems team, he will be involved in every such meeting. So his duty is to check whether any person or any developer is facing any problem or not. And his other duty is also to check whether every developer here is following best standards or not. So observing every developer from his end is not that easy. What he will do, he will just check for the compliance score. If compliance score is 100%, he will be happy. If compliance score is other than that, so he will just talk to the manager. So your application is showing like 80 percentage only. Please talk to your team and make it corrected. So in this way, this person will keep on monitoring with us every time. So if this is not 100%, score will be impacted, and in that scenario, performance also might be affected, and it will be very big escalation from the client. Okay, that is the reason from day one, this PEGA system person will be readily available for any such kind of discussion. In this process, he will check for complaint score also. Okay, so clear everyone so far? So online everyone clear? Everyone following right? Just tell me.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Okay, so as a developer, you have to first understand following best practices. And in that scenario, whatever you feel like reusable, create it in the framework. And if you feel anything like not reusable, you have to create it in where you have to create? implementations. Okay, there can be one implementation like credit card, one implementation like loans, one implementation like accounts. All these are implementations, and this is like framework. This is like framework. Fine. So consider our project. Okay, our city project is having like banking. Okay, we'll be having one credit card portal, one loans, one accounts, and I'll create one framework maybe with the name banking FW. Just an example. Okay, so your requirement is to design this credit card portal. So you are supposed to include first name, last name, and other things. So first name and last name looks reusable. You will create here last name, and maybe something like credit card type you will create here itself. And if you have to create like maybe after this is done, you have to design this loans application where you want to include first name, last name, and loan type. So you will get from there to here, from there to here, loan type will create again here. అవునా కదా? So if you are trying to design this account creation portal, so you have to use first name from there, last name from there, and if you wanted to include something like account creation or account type, you will create somewhere here. This is what we're understanding. Maybe after 2 years, maybe after 2 years, your city project wanted to start insurance also. So they wanted to start insurance also. Insurance meaning, suppose if I'm going for any insurance company, there can be one application for property insurance. If I'm going for any SBI life insurance, there again there will be counters where employee 1 will be there dealing with life insurance, employee 2 dealing with property insurance, employee 3 may be dealing with health insurance likewise. So all these are like implementation applications, am I correct? So there can be one property insurance application, there can be one vehicle insurance application, and there can be one thing like medical insurance application. So we wanted to create three implementation applications. Okay, fine. As a developer, if your manager is asking you to work on this property insurance application, what you will do? You'll get one mockup where you have to include first name, last name, maybe policy number. So tell me where you'll create this first name and last name. Where you'll create this first name first, tell me. Framework.
In
Framework and which framework? Here. Yes or no? So we are already having one framework where we are having first name. Am I correct? So can I have this implementation connected to this framework? Just first tell me
yes,
that. Okay.
yes.
So if I'm trying to connect this also to this one, maybe this also to this one. Okay, fine. So if this is my design, okay, let me give you one more scenario. Suppose in this first application, if we are supposed to include something like CIBIL score, so my requirement is to in this first application I wanted to include like CIBIL score. So where you will create that CIBIL score? Tell me.
In
Where
implication,
where is that?
implementation, implement.
Implementation here itself. Okay, but no. So CIBIL score is something related to banking, right? It will be used in credit card application. Maybe if I wanted to go for bank asking for a loan, still they'll ask for my CIBIL score, right? So CIBIL score is something where it will be used in all these three common. Am I correct?
Yeah.
Generally. Okay. Okay. So I'll create CIBIL score here also. Here. Okay. Fine. And now maybe for this one I have to create something like type of account. Type of account. So I have to use this type of account like current account, savings account in this one, and type of account also here loan account or savings account. Here also I have to use type of account. So where I have to create this type of account, tell me. Where should I create this type of account? Framework or implementation? Tell me.
If
Huh?
it's a specific, then implementation.
No,
If
no.
it's
I
not,
wanted to use type of account here, here, and here also. where I have
In
to create it
Framework.
in
frame.
framework. So you are creating type of account also here. Okay, fine. So far, consider we are having only 3 implementations. Whatever you feel like reusable, you created everything in the banking FW. It's very clear. Now our management started creating 3 more implementations like property insurance, vehicle insurance, and medical insurance. And I wanted to use first name, last name everywhere. In that scenario, if you are trying to connect these 3 implementations also to the above framework, if you're connecting these 3 also to the same framework, then what are all the things created there, those will be straight away used here, right? Is the statement correct? Okay,
Yes.
what are all the things available, it should be used here. In that scenario, using first name from there to here is making sense for us. Using last name into this one is also making sense. Type of account, CIBIL score, bank ID, okay, bank branch name, all these are specific to bank. So you created few banking related things also in this one. And these bank related things, will it be anywhere used into these insurance applications? Tell me. By
No.
any chance, will we use other things also into these sectors? No. No. Okay. Maybe if we have to create something like policy number, you are working on this first application, you wanted to include something like policy number. Where you will create, tell me?
In implementation.
Policy number is something related to insurance. If I am going for property insurance, they'll ask for policy number. If I am going for vehicle insurance also, medical insurance also, policy number is something reusable. Am I correct?
Yes.
Yes or no? Yes. So if it is reusable, creating an implementation is not correct. You have to create somewhere above. Where you will create?
Framework.
Framework.
If you are creating policy number also in the framework, just imagine this to be equally used in banking also, right? Is that correct? Bank policy కి ఎక్కడ relation ఉంటుందా? No. In any of the bank applications, will we use policy number?
No.
Policy is confined only for insurance. Okay, so what are you understanding? So if I'm having multiple implementations, so one implementation for credit card, one implementation for accounts, maybe one implementation maybe for loans, one implementation maybe for property insurance, one thing maybe for vehicle insurance, maybe one thing maybe for medical insurance, all these are my implementation applications. And as a business analyst, you have to think that these 3 are one kind of. Okay, if I wanted to design this application, if you feel anything like specific for this one, create directly here, no problem there. And if I'm trying to work on this one, in this process, if I feel something reusable between these two or between these 3, then create one framework dedicated for these 3 alone. I can have banking FW, something like this for these 3 alone. And for these three there can be separate unique things like policy number, so policy tenure, something like policy. So those will be commonly used in all these 3 implementations. So create one more framework like insurance FW and connect it to these 3. Okay, and this we can have it like city as the organization. So is this design correct? Is this design making sense for us compared to earlier one? Just tell me.
Yes,
Avuna kada?
yes, sir.
Okay, is this design correct? Yes. So finally, what are we understanding? If my project structure is complicated, maintaining more than one framework is strongly recommended. So if you are creating everything here and if you are using in every implementation, so you may get output, but that is not the correct way of designing. So for every application, compliance score might be impacted. So this is not the best way of designing your application structure. So you have to understand how many implementations are there and out of which how many of are like one kind. Okay, so better to maintain like one framework or multiple frameworks, everything you have to understand. Okay, so everyone should agree with this design so far. Okay, now let me give you one more scenario. So today you joined one company. today Today you joined one company, don't know anything about the structure. So your manager has given you one task, that is like you have to work on this credit card design. Okay. So he's asking you like first name, last name, and maybe like credit card type, something like CIBIL score, okay, and something like bank ID. So these things needs to be created. Now tell me, first name where you'll create? Banking framework. Am I correct? You'll create in banking framework. Last name where you'll create? Banking framework.
Framework.
And credit card type where you will create?
Banking.
Implementation.
Implementation. Directly
Implementation.
you can create credit card type here. CIBIL score where you will create? CIBIL score where
Framework.
you will create? You have to create it in framework. Okay. And bank ID where you will create? Framework. Bank ID. Everywhere it will be used. Okay. Fine. So your design is done. Okay, next day maybe I'm joining this project. Okay, I don't know what you have done earlier. Now I joined something new project, maybe this application. My manager asked me to design this screen where I have to include first name, last name, maybe account type, and other things. So where I have to create this first name? Where I have to create?
Framework.
Framework. Huh?
Framework.
So it is not like creating every time in the framework. So what is the purpose of you creating in the framework? So that it should be reused for other
Reusable.
applications. Yeah. Maybe next day, if I want like first name, if I'm directly creating again, so what is the concept of reusability? So point here is, before you work on anything, first you have to check whether that is already available or not. So if I just check for first name, it should be available because yesterday I have created it there. So it should be available. So I have to first check whether whatever I'm looking for is already there or not. So it should be there. So I have to use it from there to here. I want last name, just check there. I'll use it from there. And if I wanted to use like CIBIL score, I'll use it. And if I wanted to create something like account type, I'll just check here whether it is there or not. If it is not there, create it here or create it here according to your requirement. So point is, before you design, first you check it in the frameworks, and if it is there, use it from there. If not, create there and use it. Tomorrow other developers, they'll use it from there to here. This is the concept. Fine. Maybe after 1 week one new person joined here in this property insurance project. So what he has to do, he has to design one application where he has to include first name, last name, policy number. Okay, policy type. Now tell me first name, how do you include first name? For first name, what you will do?
Check in frame if it's available.
We have
Check
create
in
the
framework.
insurance framework.
Yeah, check in framework. First you have to check, right, whether it is there or not. Where you'll check? Where you'll check? Where you'll check? A framework, banking, insurance, insurance.
Insurance.
Okay, insurance, meaning this application is no more connected to this one. So content there should not be used into this one. Am I correct? There is no relation at all. So whatever the things we are having, that will not be used into this other three applications. This is what we're understanding. So now I have to create again first name in this one, right? Initially, last name I'll create, policy number I'll create, policy type I'll create. Okay, fine. Policy type I'll create. Okay, and even for this, what I'll do, if I wanted to use first name, I'll create it from here. So overall if you observe, I feel like first name to be used. So is first name used only for these three or for all six?
For all
Is
For
six.
first
all
name for
six.
all six? For all six. So creating first name last name in this one for one time, again creating for one more time here, this is also kind of little rework only, no? Yes or no? This is also kind of little rework. You have created first name here, again you are creating first name here. It is also like little rework. In that scenario, what you have to do? In that scenario, what you have to do? So your
Work it.
design, yeah. Point here is, if you are working in any one particular implementation, if you feel nothing is reusable, create it here. If you feel something like used in more than one application, more than one, that is enough. If you feel like it is used in more than one, maybe if it is like in these two, you create in its own common framework. Maybe if you feel like these to be used in multiple applications, then you have to maintain one more framework for all these things. So your structure should be something like city as one organization. There can be one main FW, and for this there can be something like bank FW, and there can be something like insurance FW, and here maybe 3 implementations. Okay, so is this design perfect? Everyone agree with this? Tell me.
It's
Everyone agree with
perfect.
this design? It is perfect. Okay,
Yes.
so yeah, maybe this is like credit card, this is like loans, and this is like accounts. Maybe this one property insurance, maybe this one vehicle insurance, and this one medical insurance. This is what we understand. So this is what our final design. So finally I mean to say here, like, so for every project, framework is framework is recommended. Okay, so if I'm trying to go in this way like city and creating all 6 implementations, can't I get output? Credit card, loans, accounts, without maintaining single framework. If I'm maintaining everything separately, if I run this I'll get output, if I run this I'll get output. So you have to do everything like rework everywhere. So you'll get output even in this case also, but maintaining one framework is strongly recommended. So PEGA is strongly recommending us to go for maintaining at least one framework. And depending upon your project complexity, maintaining multiple frameworks is also must. Okay, so you can maintain multiple frameworks also depending upon your project complexity. So consider one example. Today, we all are planning to start one bank. Consider we all are decided to start up one bank. So since our like startup company, we wanted to give only like loans. We wanted to go only for loans, meaning how many implementations? How many implementations? Only one, right? Another. So we're starting ABC as the bank, and we wanted to initially go for only loans as the process. So for that only one implementation, am I correct? So in this design, is framework required or not required?
Not
Yes or no? Not required. Not required. So I'll straight away create everything and use it here only. That is enough. Maybe if you are creating one framework, creating everything there, and you have to use it here only, no? You have to use it everything here only. So framework is not required in this case. Am I correct? Framework is not required. Fine. Consider your business is expanding day to day. So maybe after 2 years, you wanted to start something like credit card also. You wanted to issue like credit card also. In that scenario, you have to design everything. Okay. In this process, designing everything from beginning, is that correct? Or if we have by that time anything like reused, or if you are having by that time ready something, getting content from there, will that be easy? So by the time you create one new implementation, if we have something like framework ready and used it from there, is that design easy or not? So what does this mean? So even though if you're having only one implementation today, creating one framework is strongly recommended. Okay, strongly recommended, because you are trying to develop everything with PEGA, meaning license will be very costly. So your client should be like very big client in this case if he's going for PEGA. So he cannot stop with one implementation. Maybe in future he has to expand everything. So in this scenario of expanding, If we are maintaining one framework today, in future, by the time we create other childs, it will be very helpful for us. So PEGA is strongly recommending us to go for at least one framework. It is recommending, it's not mandatory, it's up to you. Okay, so it is like strongly recommended. Okay, so based on your project complexity, if it is like more complicated, create multiple frameworks. Create multiple frameworks like this. Okay, clear everyone online? Everyone following right? Just respond.
Yes, sir.
Following.
Okay,
Yes, sir.
okay, yeah, fine. So this is our structure, consider, and we are trying to follow this structure maybe for 10 years. Now your business has taken one more decision. That is like vehicle insurance, whatever the application. Suppose if this is like insurance company. Okay, as a PEGA developer, you are doing everything from CTS company. After this is done, it will be handed to production, right? That is like bank employees or insurance employees, they will be using this. Suppose if I am the insurance person there, I don't know anything about PEGA. Maybe if I am the insurance person, what I'll be doing, I'll be using vehicle insurance as the application what we have designed. Now my business is planning to include one separate application for two-wheeler and one separate application for four-wheeler. So if any person asking for two-wheeler insurance, he's coming to me. Maybe for four-wheeler vehicle also, he's coming to me. But now our business is expanding. We wanted to create one separate application for two-wheeler, one separate for four-wheeler. What you will do? You will create one more implementation. Am I correct? Maybe you'll treat it like two-wheeler for this. Maybe this has like four-wheeler. Okay, this has like four-wheeler. Okay, now maybe if you are working on this one, so you have to create first name, last name, policy number, and maybe like vehicle number. So now tell me, first name where you will create, first
Framework.
name where you will create. Framework meaning what framework?
Insurance
Banking
Insurance.
framework,
Insurance.
insurance framework,
Insurance.
main framework. ఇక్కడ create చేస్తాం.
Main framework.
It has to be maintained in main framework. So first name will be used here also, right? Okay, so don't confine that to this insurance applications. So this first name, if it is used for all the places, create it in the framework. First name I have to create it in main FW. Everyone agree with this? What about last name? A framework, main framework. So you are supposed to even create this in main framework, no doubt in it. What about policy? What about policy?
Insurance framework.
Insurance
So
framework.
policy will be used only for these three. Create it in insurance. What about this vehicle number? What about this vehicle number? Hmm?
implementation.
In vehicle
Implementation.
Implementation.
insurance.
Sure. Implementation. So I wanted to create something like vehicle number. Okay, vehicle TR number. Okay, vehicle engine number, vehicle chassis number, vehicle tire size. All these are something related to vehicle. So now tell me where you will create all these things.
In insurance framework, it's a common for both two and
Yeah,
four.
yeah. If you are trying to create everything in the insurance framework, so will this application require anything like vehicle number? This is property insurance. Maybe this is medical insurance. So will this application require like vehicle tire size, vehicle registered number, vehicle engine number? So does these other applications require that? No. Then tell me where you'll create. You have to think everything logical as a business analyst. Tell me where you'll create all these things.
Vehicle insurance only.
Vehicle insurance. So if you are creating everything here, okay, and after this is done, you have to work on this part also, right? So these things will be used even here also. You have to again recreate the things. Is that correct then?
Yes.
Is
Vehicle
that correct?
framework, a separate.
Again,
So in
vehicle
this
framework we need to create.
yeah, in this scenario, you have to create one more framework for these two alone. Getting my point? You have to create one more framework for these two. Create everything related to vehicle. So use it into this implementation one, implementation two. This is what you have to understand. So finally, organization structure. Organization structure will be having multiple frameworks, okay, and that depends upon how your structure is. Maybe today I'm having only one application for insurance. Tomorrow if I wanted to split it into two, okay, and here again medical insurance I wanted to split, one for pharmacy, one for emergency ward, one for, so if I wanted to split it into multiple things, so you should be in a position to include one framework if required. Okay. So for organization structure, making such changes is very, very easy and possible. Okay. Okay, fine. Because today we can follow one kind of structure. Maybe after 10 years, so if I wanted to change the structure, my PEGA design should accept that. So that is the reason. If did anyone of you check like PEGA logo? PEGA logo chusara? So how it will be?
Horse.
It will be like flying horse, not even horse. It will be like flying horse. So horse itself will be faster, and flying horse it should be much more faster. So that is what the design, that is what the logo is. And for that logo, you'll find one caption also, tagline also. Did anyone observe that? For PEGA, there will be one tagline. Did anyone observe that? That is nothing but build for change. Okay, build for change, for any kind of change to your structure, so that can be easily adoptable maybe after 20-30 years also. So whatever the design if you are making, maybe your project started like 2000, almost like 20 years back, and today if you wanted to change the design, it can be easily done in one day. Okay, it can be easily done. So that kind of easily changes, those are easily adoptable in our PEGA design. So as a business analyst, you have to understand how your structure should be, how many frameworks we have to maintain, and what framework should be connected for what implementation. These things, as a business analyst, we have to take care. So it's not like our developer's duty. So business analyst will take care of all these things. This is what you have to think. Okay, fine. So consider, okay, let me explain one more thing. So today you join one company, or before that, maybe after this course is done, you'll start attempting for interviews, right? You'll start attempting for interviews. Maybe if I'm your interviewer, so I can just give you pen and paper and asking you to draw your application structure. You are saying like 3 years experience, right? In that scenario, whatever the project you work there, can you please draw and show me your organization structure, meaning how many frameworks, how many implementations. So if you're trying to draw and show there, so expectation here is you are supposed to include everything. So that is like framework, implementations, everything. So if you draw this design, is this design perfect? Tell me. Is this design perfect? Is this acceptable design? If you draw this for your interviewer, will he be convinced? Just
No.
guess and tell me why no? Where we are missing? What is missing? Okay, if we draw this structure, so more or less you are including your own internal design. What is internal design? So internal design in the sense, so you are including one main framework, maybe it's child frameworks, and overall design is there. So here there is something like credit card application. Okay, you must have designed by this time like credit card, right? Maybe if I'm a bank employee, so this is Citibank, and if I'm a bank employee using this credit card application, if anyone customer coming to me asking for credit card, what I have to do? I'll not simply give him credit card kit, right? So what we are supposed to do? First we have to collect his PAN card number. So if I'm trying to search for his PAN card number, I have to get his CIBIL score. If CIBIL score is good, then we'll issue him credit card. If CIBIL score is poor, maybe we can issue him credit card with 50,000 as the limit. Maybe if it is still poor, we'll cancel or we'll reject his credit card. So on click of this search button, we are getting this CIBIL score. From where are we getting? Just tell me. So for the Citibank, this is Citibank application. If we click on search button, we are getting CIBIL score. CIBIL score is not related to Citibank's data. If I go for SBI Bank, there also they'll check for CIBIL score. So one customer CIBIL score is not with Citibank's data alone. It is not related to State Bank. It's not related to anything. CIBIL score data will be provided maybe like Government of India. If we hit on search button, it has to interact with that application and it has to get the response from there. Am I correct? Maybe this is Citibank, maybe this is like SBI Bank, maybe this is like Axis Bank. Every bank should hit that application and get the response. So from where are we getting meaning? This is from third party application. So here this credit card application is connected to some third party application. Am I correct? So if that is the scenario, why did you not include this in your application structure? This is what they'll ask. So here structure meaning don't design only for our internal. This is our internal. I have created maybe these many applications, but this application might be connected from third party application. Okay, might be connected for third party application. Okay, consider you are joining one company like TCS. Okay, so maybe you are joining one company like TCS. So your details, everything will be available in TCS database, right? And from that day onward, maybe from January 1st 2023 is your joining date. From that date onwards, there will be like insurance also applicable for you as well as for your family members. Okay, so this insurance TCS is not providing directly. TCS will
Third
be
party.
tied up with something third party insurance companies. So maybe City Insurance or MediAssist or New India Insurance, whatever it is. So what is happening? Maybe as an employee, if you are searching for your employee ID, so you are like TCS employee. If you are searching for your employee ID, then you will get your first name, last name, and your policy start date. Maybe how much amount you have already claimed. What is your remaining balance? So these details you are getting from here, right? అవునా కదా? So if you are working in this project, okay, your own design is this, as well as you are getting some input from third party application. Am I correct? You are getting help from third party, that is RBI. So RBI application is providing you some service and you are providing some service for other companies. So here this is like input for us and this is like output, what we are sending output. So this whole constitute organization structure meaning your own design. So for how many applications you are providing service and from what applications you are getting service, everything we have to include in this design. Okay, so day one, if anyone in interviewer they are asking for application structure, you have to include your input design, maybe your current design as well as your output design also. Okay, everyone clear? Everyone understanding, right? Tell me.
Yes.
Okay, what about others? Online, everyone clear, right? Follow Nara?
Yes, sir.
Fine. So maybe you have implemented this kind of design in the interview and maybe you are selected. Next day, you'll join your original company, right? You'll join your main company. So there can be some kind of design like this. There can be some kind of design like this, whatever it is. So you will be created with some login and you are supposed to log in and you have to do some PEGA work, right? So in this process, you will be given access for so and so implementation. Maybe like credit card application is what you got access. Okay, so to design this credit card application, so you have to first understand whether this application is having framework or not. We know framework is not 200% mandatory, it is recommended. So our application, whatever we are working on now, we have to first understand whether it is having framework or not. And it might be having one more framework and it might be having one more. So for the application, whatever you are working on, if you don't know its framework structure, how can you proceed? If you feel anything like reusable, you have to create somewhere in its framework 1 or 2 or 3 or 4. You have to understand somewhere about this parent structure. Am I correct? Am I correct or not? So you have to understand this structure. Day one after you joining one main company, if you're asking your manager about your framework structure, he'll ask you to check on yourself. So meaning after you logging in into particular application, you can check for its parent structure. Meaning application structure can be easily identified by our own. So you can understand what is the first parent, what is the second parent, third parent. You can understand everything on your own. But you will not understand organization structure. Application structure is different to organization structure. Application structure meaning our own applications. Organization structure meaning from where are we getting input or whether we are sending any output or not. So this as a whole will be like organization structure. So if your manager is asking you to check everything on your own, application structure you can easily identify. After we creating, we'll check everything, not a problem. But organization structure you cannot identify. So you have to ask your manager to share organization structure for our project. So there you'll understand from where are we getting output, whether any external database connections are there or not, whether any third party application connections are there or not. So whether that is like input or whether we are acting like output providers or not. So this whole you have to ask your manager, he will be giving you one PDF document or he'll give you one Word document. Or maybe if you are joining one company, you'll be having like one office location, right? So that we call it like ODC, offshore development center. So in that office, maybe to its walls there can be some kind of flexes also sticked up. So our city organization structure is, maybe our client partners are, so there can be some kind of flexes. Your manager can ask you to look at that also. Okay, ultimately you have to get organization structure from your manager. Okay, but application structure you can get it everything on your own. This is what you have to understand. Clear? So far everyone clear, right? Okay, fine. So we are just understanding what is framework, what is importance of framework, and what is importance of implementation applications. And in our project, how to connect framework, how to connect implementations, this is what we're understanding. Day one, by the time you join any company, so this whole structure will be designed. Don't think like as a developer you have to work on this structure design. This is 100% you will not do. So day one, your business analyst, they have to take care of all these things. Your BA will decide how many frameworks we have to maintain and how many implementations we have to connect. And for this implementation, this should be the other application and this should be the other one. So external database has to be connected for this. This overall structure, your BS will be deciding. 200% you'll not get a chance to create any application, and 200% you'll not get a chance to maybe rechange the linking or these things you'll not get. Okay, so after your background work is done, after your design is done, day one your duty is to start developing those applications. This is what your tasks will be. Okay, this is what your tasks will be. Okay, so that we'll talk tomorrow. So day one, what business analyst will do practically, and once BS tasks is done, what developer will do practically. Everything we'll talk from tomorrow's class. Okay, so clear everyone. So today we are just understanding something about this kind of structures. Okay, so this kind of structures. In tomorrow's class, we'll understand what will be the actual discussion or what will happen on the day one of your project start and how to create projects and everything. So that we'll talk tomorrow. Okay, so for any kind of doubts, any doubts as of now? Anyone?
Hi,
Yeah, tell me.
Hi, hi, Chandra.
Tell me.
So, can an organization
Mm.
PEGA as per the requirement?
Can a organization come again, please?
Can an organization edit
Mm.
PEGA as per the requirements
Edit. So if you wanted to edit the
function?
organization structure, is that possible or not? Is that you're asking?
Uh, so,
It is
if
100% possible. As I told you, right? Today we can have one kind of structure. Tomorrow, if I wanted to include one more framework, or maybe if I wanted to remove one thing, maybe if I wanted to add 10 more implementations. So those changes should be 100% possible. It is 100% can be done, not at all, no problem there.
So I heard something like there is a job in PEGA default and something like organization.
Organizations will be default. So day one, whenever we create any application, so organization, city organization, will this be changed anytime? No. So city is taking license, right? So organization will be fixed, within which this kind of structure, framework structure, relinking, this is 200% possible. So this organization and above related OOTB design, that cannot be changed. From here, which will be in under our control, those can be easily modified. That will do. Got it?
Okay.
Okay. Any more doubts, anyone?
Uh, So one more. So
Tell
how
me.
can we get the
How
CIBIL score?
can?
Uh,
What is that? How can?
like third parties to bank. So how can
Your voice is breaking actually. I cannot understand. How can third party?
so CIBIL score is given by third parties to the
Yeah,
banks.
yeah.
So
Mhm.
how can we include that in this application?
So that is part of integrations. As I told you, our application has to be integrated with third-party application. So that can be done with REST architecture or SOAP architecture or MQ Cobra. So this comes under integration part. So 100% our application should get the input from other parties, or we should be in a position to send to the other parties also. So that is 100% to be included. So for
Okay.
this we will be using connectors, REST architecture and SOAP related things. Okay.
Okay. Thanks, Chandra.
Yeah, yeah. Any more doubts, anyone?
Hello, sir. Good morning.
Hey,
So,
good
two
morning.
questions I have.
Tell me.
One is like when we talk about the compliance score, is it something we can individually check what we are doing
We
is
can.
like correct or not,
No, no.
or is
Compliance
always
score,
dependable with the
yeah.
PEGA system?
Compliance score is not dependent on one operator or one developer's design. So compliance score is like overall application development. Suppose if there are 10 members in the team, all 9 members are doing perfectly. If one member is not doing perfect, then overall score will be impacted, right? So score is something related to application level. So this application will be continuously checking for each and every developer's action. Based on that, if it is followed with best design, 100% it will show. If not, it will show like 80% or something. And if I just open that 80%, I can see this is the developer responsible for that. So I'll directly talk to that person. What is the task given to you? So what are you doing? So why this error introduced? Please rectify so that score has to be improved. So this is what. Okay, this is not like any manual related process. This is automation based on the development standards. It will be calculated. Got it?
Yes, sir. Thank you. And second question was like, not sure if it would have been done anytime, but even though the score is 100, we have ever experienced any latency in the application or performance constraint, or it's not the case. If it's 100%, then it is
It
good.
is actually, it should be 100%. If it is 100%, everything went well, right? So if everything is going good, then what is the problem with that? So PEGA systems
All right,
person
so
also, they'll just check for the score. That's it. So if it is 100, no, we will not get any problem with anyone. So it should
all
be
right,
100.
so it's not dependent on any other factor. Like if it's 100%, then the performance will be good.
Good. Yes, yes.
Has to be good. Yeah.
Yes,
All
yes.
right.
Correct.
Got it, sir. Yeah. Thank you.
Sure, sure. Any more doubts, anyone?
Sir,
Like Chandra, how much minimum score we should maintain for this?
It should be 100% actually. Okay, it should be 100 percentage. But there will be cases where where there will not be 100% also every time. So consider this example. Today we are starting one bank like ABC, and we are just having only one implementation like loans. So for this, is framework recommended or not? Just tell me. For this, is framework recommended or not? It is recommended. So if I'm creating something here and using into this implementation, so tomorrow I'm creating one more thing like credit card. So credit card, and here I'm creating everything, but there is nothing like pulled out from there to here. So in the we'll be calculating everything. Okay, so got it right? Got it?
Yes.
Okay. So there will be cases where we have to just provide justification. Okay, so in that scenario score can be corrected. Slowly you'll come to know whenever we create everything. So how to create an application, in that process what are all the things will be getting created. Okay, so how to create it in framework, how to create an implementation, how the score will be. So everything you'll come to know slowly. Clear everyone?
Hi, hi,
Okay.
Chandra. So the ABC Bank is using our application.
Mm.
So the number of customers ABC are getting,
Mm.
we as a developer, can we have access to that? How many customers have been registered through our?
So if you are working like a production support member, you can access production data. So today we'll be joining like a developer. So maybe if I'm designing Flipkart application, so I'll design everything as per my client requirement. So will I be getting like how many orders issued for Flipkart today? Will I be getting any data related to so how much income Flipkart is getting? So that database is like production data. So as a developer I will be just developing this. Maybe after few days, if I'm joining production support team, in the sense I'll be accessing completely with production real users. So there I can understand how many customers are getting registered. So some kind of information what I can see, but not complete sensitive information. Don't think like that you can access all the customer data. Don't think like that we can access their credit card numbers, their PAN card numbers, their PIN numbers. So this is more of security, right? So production data we can access, but with limited data sharing up. Okay, that will work when we're opening database part. Clear? Okay, fine. So today also whoever has joined, just message me saying like I have attended, so that you'll get recording also. Okay, sure then. Thank you.
Thanks.
Yep.